Which of the following are the most likely short-run effects of an increase in government expenditures? So in this question, we're told that there's an increase in government expenditures, and we're asked to find the short-run effects of this increase. So to answer this question, let's first represent this situation on the aggregate demand and aggregate supply model. So the x-axis represents real GDP, or RGDP, and the y-axis represents the price level. So there are two curves here, it's two sloping curves. The downward sloping curve represents the aggregate demand, and the upward sloping curve represents the short-run aggregate supply. So, first let's finish this curve by representing the increase in government expenditures, and that would look like a shift to the right in the aggregate demand curve. This is because the increase in government expenditures would result in an increase in aggregate demand, and this will result in a shift right in the aggregate demand. This is how it would look. And now let's look at the short-run effects of this increase. So option choice A says an increase in unemployment, an increase in inflation, and an increase in the real GDP. So we can say that the real GDP does increase because the original real GDP was right here, but after the shift, the real GDP is right here. So there is an increase in real GDP. And furthermore, for the inflation, the price level right here is down here, but after the shift, it increases to up here. So it is true that inflation would increase and the real GDP would increase. But the employment rate would not increase because the real GDP, or the x-axis, represents employment. So if there's a shift right, that means there's an increase in employment. Therefore, there would be a decrease in unemployment. So A is incorrect because it represents an increase in unemployment. B is incorrect for the same reason because it shows an increase in unemployment. Furthermore, it shows a decrease in the real GDP, which is not according to the graph because it shows an increase in the real GDP, not a decrease. C correctly shows that there is a decrease in unemployment, an increase in inflation, and an increase in the real GDP. So C seems to be the correct answer. And if we were to consider the other options, we can see that the unemployment rate in option choice D is said to decrease, but this is wrong, so D is incorrect. And E, it says there's no change, but this is wrong as well, so E is also wrong. Therefore, the correct answer is C.